A Christian Testimony. Multiple Sclerosis, Triumphing Over Life's Challenges by Faith in Jesus Christ. Part 2 of 4. A story of victory in spite of many obstacles, including death of friends and multiple sclerosis. An audio testimony presented by https://thebiblerevival.com and https://breadsite.org.
I sang an Amy Grant song, So Much Pain and No Good Reason Why. You've cried until your tears run dry. Nothing here can make you understand, the one thing that you've held so dear has slipped from your hands. You say why does it go this way? Why? All I can say is that somewhere down the road there will be answers to the questions. Somewhere down the road, though you cannot see it now. Somewhere down the road you will find mighty arms reaching for you, and He will hold the answers at the end of the road. To this very day I miss her like crazy, although I know she is here, looking down on me laughing at all my stupid mistakes. I can't wait to meet her again in heaven, as I know we will have a lot to catch up on. Summer between 8th and 9th grade, I was a part of a mission trip with my youth group. We went to Costa Rica. This trip was awesome. God taught me a lot about witnessing. We were working with people who only spoke Spanish, so there was definitely a language barrier that only an interpreter could break. God also taught me a lot about worship. To witness a room full of people worshiping the same God but in different languages and from cultures was incredible. I remember one night when a local church had served my youth group an authentic dinner. It was just about time to go, and I pulled out a guitar. We were sitting in a group with some people from my church and some guys from the Costa Rican church. I started playing Lord I Lift Your Name on High. The guys recognized the tune and started singing it in Spanish. We went back and forth, just singing it over and over again, us in English, then them in Spanish. It was such a neat experience. Although God showed me so much on this trip and I could call it a spiritual high, when I returned home, I did not continue to live for God. I worried about clothes and boys and material things. I did not accept the love Christ had for me, nor did I make an effort to show it through my life. 9th grade, first year of high school. It was new, exciting, going well, although I still was not living for God. He was just about the last thing on my mind. During 9th grade, God blessed me with new friendships, older people who were very godly, seniors Beth Leday and Lindsay Dunnigan. As they started wanting to hang out with me and get to know me, they showed me God's love and God working in their lives. They were gifts from God, like big sisters, to help me get through my first year of high school. As a freshman, I made the varsity soccer team. This was a big deal to me, as I had played soccer since I was 4. I played on a championship-winning middle school team. Soccer had always been a big part of my life, so this new exciting adventure was something I was ready to dive into. The season went great, although I did not get much playing time as expected for freshmen. I learned so much about the game, and I made some awesome friendships and have some great memories. As the season was wrapping up, we were about to get into the state playoffs. One morning about a week before our first playoff game, I woke up and my left arm was numb. I thought nothing of it. I figured I had just slept wrong on it and that it would go away later in the morning. It didn't, it only got worse, and the numbness spread up into the left side of my face and into the left side of the back of my head. The same day in soccer practice, I got really dizzy and fell to the ground. I told my mom about the numbness and the episode during soccer, and we went to a doctor the next day. Throughout the next few days I lost use of my left arm. I couldn't move it well, I couldn't pick things up. I tried to pick up a glass of water and I dropped it and broke it. This was so frustrating. I basically had to learn to live with one arm. Things as simple as washing my hair or even getting around at school became extremely difficult. As I was sent from doctor to doctor, they were all puzzled. From day to day, I was in doctors' offices doing all kinds of tests, including a CAT scan, MRI. I did a test where they shocked me. That hurt really bad. They took a lot of my blood for tests. It was crazy. Through all this time of not getting any answers, I was wanting answers from God, wanting to know why this was happening. I wanted to know if I would ever get my arm back. I was stressed out, tired, and just wanted to be normal again. Because of the numbness, I had to stop playing soccer. I was still a part of the team and went to the games, but I could not play. This killed me, I hated it so much. My team ended up advancing to the Sweet 16 of the state tournament before losing. After about 5 weeks of tests and doctors, I was tired and worn out. There were so many tests where the doctors could not find anything. Finally, my neurologist diagnosed migraine variant, saying that the blood vessels on the left side of my body were restricting blood to my arm, making it numb. This diagnosis was made basically because they had not found anything at all. They had ruled any and everything else out, and there was nothing left but this. It was so hard not knowing what was going on with my body, why I had all of a sudden become paralyzed. Even after the diagnosis, I felt like the doctors just kind of said, well, it's nothing else, so it has to be this. I still felt angry and confused as to what was happening because nothing would show up. Eventually, my doctor gave me some medicine to relax my blood vessels, and about 2 weeks later the numbness was gone and I was back to normal. When I did get the feeling back, I had some minor challenges. I had to relearn how to type on a computer and play my guitar. Relearning my guitar was the hardest, but I didn't mind because I was just happy I was going to be able to play again. Summer between 9th and 10th grade. During this summer I did things such as a choir trip to Florida, a mission trip to Alaska, and I got to spend time with Lindsay and Beth. Alaska, this is the trip that changed my life. Being in Alaska was a lot different than Costa Rica. First off, there was no language barrier. So we had to be able to witness without the help from an interpreter. Secondly, the Alaskan people were not so much as hungry for the gospel like the Costa Rican people were. Most Alaskan people had moved to Alaska to get away from the gospel. As we were doing door-to-door missions, we had so many rude comments directed towards us and many doors slammed in our faces. The second day of our trip we had a schedule of how things were going to happen, what we were going to do, when and where we were going to do them. Nothing worked out. The night after that day I was so frustrated. I was upset because I just knew my plans would be perfect. I did not want to accept God's plans. I did not want the day to change. Little did I know, God was teaching me a very important lesson that I would use many times later in my life. When I say that this trip changed my life, I'm not talking about that I rededicated my life to Christ, or I had an awesome spiritual high or anything. This trip was hard, so hard. I saw God working through the hard time. I saw my weaknesses so clearly, and I saw what I had to do to start walking in the path God had set for me. When I think of mission trips or youth camps, I think of the awesome worship times, prayer times, times when God's Spirit is just so evident everywhere. Well, in Alaska we did not have some huge praise band. Our worship was often with one guitar, and 70 of us sitting in a room singing. God showed me so much through this, showing me that there doesn't have to be some huge blow-out performance to feel His Spirit moving. God's Spirit was evident all the time, and so much clearer. Every night we had what we called a talk-back time, where my whole youth group would just sit every night of the trip, sometimes for an hour or more, and people would share things that God had showed them that day. Towards the middle of the week, Wednesday I think, after another day of when God's plans weren't mine, we were having talk-back time. As I sat and listened, God spoke to me, plain as day, so clearly, He could have stood right in front of me and told me, and it would not have been as clear. He showed me that my God life had been fake. Yes, I had been a hypocrite for a really, really long time. I had been a leader in my youth group, a leader at FCA, a worship leader numerous times and at many places. All of these times I had been leading and being a witness to others. I was not living out my own Christian walk. I did not have a daily time with God. If I did a quiet time, it was so I could say that I did one, and so I could have the knowledge of whatever it was talking about to sound good to someone I was talking to. God was not the center of my life. I depended on earthly things and people in most everything I did. I had been a hypocrite, and I was tired of it, and God pointed out to me that He was tired of it too.
This is the end of part 2 of 4. Thank you for listening to this testimony. We hope it has been helpful. Now, let's briefly introduce a new book, The Surface Theory by R. G. Gibson. that presents two new innovative creation theories. Born from personal revelation and years of research, these two theories emerged from previously overlooked key words, offering profound new insights into Genesis. This book also unveils new scientific discoveries related to this topic. Prepare for a paradigm shift that makes Genesis logical, dissolving the previous barriers between faith and science. Find the key to these mysteries and many more within the pages of The Surface Theory by R. G. Gibson, available on Amazon.